All right, thanks for staying with us. This is Checkpoint. Your feedback at KTN Kenya, at Yvonne Okwara, at John Alanamu. Your questions and comments for Honorable Ababu Namwamba, who joins me tonight. Keep them coming in. 22155 is also our SMS number. We appreciate your feedback, and we'll try and put as many questions as we can to him. As you realize, today it is a one-on-one so that we can get as much information as we can. Thank you for joining us tonight. I would like us to begin from where this conversation, has been carrying on. But let's start off with Honorable Samuel Arama, who was on that tape. He has spoken out since the tape came to light. Let's listen into what Samuel Arama had to say about the tape.
I didn't have any reason why I would take a bribe. I didn't have any reason why I could go and talk to Ababu and confess. Because if I had been accused, is when I could have gone there to confess. But I remember parliament, just you walk, you find the Honorable Junet, you find the Honorable Raira, you find the Honorable Ababu, then you start telling him that, yo, I'm sorry, I took a bribe from Iringo when nobody is complaining. Is that normal? It's not normal.
All right. Your reaction to that?
Yvonne, I don't really want to engage in an exchange with my honorable colleague, Honorable Rama, because this is really not personal. This is not personal. This is about the very, very big issues of integrity in the House, and integrity in the Public Accounts Committee. All I can say is that, number one, there are several voices on that tape. There is the voice of Honorable Rama. There is the voice of Honorable Raila Odinga. There is the voice of Honorable Janet Mohammed. There is my voice. And the question that you'd want to ask yourself, how did all these voices come together?
Let's talk about that.
And number two, let me just clarify this. Number two, this recording happened in a very public place. So that even CCTV in that place would actually confirm that this meeting took place. These people walked into this place. They sat at a particular place. And they engaged in this conversation. And number last, if you really want to authenticate this recording in terms of voices, technology has what is called voice detector. It is more or less, it works like a lie detector. By merely running this recording through a voice detector and also running through the voice of Honorable Rama, the live voice, you'll be able to know exactly. Okay. So it's very easy. I wouldn't want to engage in this argument.
Then explain to us at least the context of that meeting, how it came to be that the four of you were meeting at this very public place, as you put it. What was the agenda of the meeting?
The context of the meeting, Yvonne, was that when this whole matter erupted, that there were integrity issues within the Public Accounts Committee, all of us were very keen to know exactly what was going on, because this thing erupted from the blue. Even though the matter started off, politically, as a vote of no confidence, nobody could put a finger on exactly what was going on. And so, personally, being the chairman of this committee, I went out of my way to try to piece together evidence of what could have been going on. Among the things that I did was to try to talk to various members and also to seek the intervention of my party leader to try and talk to any of these members to find out what exactly was going on. So it was in that context of trying to really put your finger on what is going on in the context of so much rumor.
Right. So everybody was aware of the agenda of the meeting.
Oh, yes.
And Arama came very...
Yes, everybody
what was
aware.
The conversation you had with Arama before going to the meeting?
You know when you listen to that recording, there is a point where the Honorable Arama says, I have just talked to Iringo. Mm-hmm. And Iringo has confirmed he gave money to so-and-so. He also says, I have just talked to Anyanga. And Anyanga says so-and-so. One of the things that I would challenge him to do is to avail his phone records for that date of the 22nd of February 2015 to confirm whether at that particular time when that recording took place, he had in fact just talked to Iringo and he had in fact just talked to Anyanga. All those are things which would easily confirm. So that's why for me, this is such a straightforward matter.
Okay.
And if you believe that someone has impersonated you or impersonated your voice, I would challenge him to take legal action.
All right, but let's talk about the allegations that have been flying back and forth about who received what money in terms of absolving yourself. The tape in itself does not necessarily absolve you from any blame. It's Arama who says he heard of a meeting between Anyanga and Mutea Iringo. But many would say it doesn't necessarily absolve you from any blame, and you have put a lot of premium on this tape.
No, I've not put premium on this tape, Yvonne. What I've done is that I have insisted that this tape is a piece of evidence, so that if you are really interested in getting to the root of this matter, then this is a piece of evidence among other pieces of evidence that may come to the fore. Now, let me clarify one thing, Yvonne, and this is important also for your listeners. You see, people keep on saying that I should defend myself and I should sort of clear my name, but the truth, Yvonne, is that I've not been accused of anything. In fact, even as I sit here right now, I am clear in my mind that I have nothing to clear my name over.
We understand the standing orders that require substantiation.
Let me clarify two things. Number one, I appeared before the Powers and Privileges Committee on Thursday, this past Thursday. The chairman of the committee put it clearly to me and in public that I'm not under investigation, I'm not on trial, and nobody has accused me of anything.
Please allow me to
and
interject.
Number two...
We are very clear on that, but please allow me to interject, because like
unless
you say,
I'm supposed to clear rumors.
Well, that would be good, because
so let me clear the rumors.
Yes, in the court of public opinion, and many questions that we're getting today, even when we pose the question, do you believe Ababu Namwamba is innocent? And you must agree that as a politician, your reputation would be important to you, not so.
Of course.
They may not be substantiated, but because there's been so much rumor flying around about you allegedly receiving 5 million, would you kindly clear that up for us?
Now, I want to clear this from three angles. Angle number one is what I've just said, that as far as the records of Parliament, and Yvonne, I have with me here a record of the proceedings of Parliament, what we call the Hansard record. Nowhere on this Hansard record has anybody accused me of anything. And when you look at the proceedings of the Powers and Privileges Committee, I am not on trial, I'm not being investigated for anything, number one. Number two, and I understand what you're saying because, you know, this is a game of perception.
It is.
Winston Churchill loved to say that the truth, I mean, a lie will always get halfway around the world before the truth has time even to pull on its pants.
So please give us
this is a classical case. It's a classical case where someone has thrown a lie out there, and this lie has raced so far ahead that the truth is finding difficult to catch up with it. I want to tell you two things, Yvonne. Number one, it is very easy to track a trail of bribery intended to compromise a parliamentary investigation. It's very easy. You simply need to look at what was under investigation so that anybody would go out of their way to compromise it. In the 18 months that I have been chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, we have produced 4 reports. And Yvonne, this is a fundamental point. I want to invite the media and I want to invite Kenyans. I came to this studio with copies of those 4 reports. The first report is this one, the Hustlers Jet report. This is the famous Hustlers Jet report. This is the first piece of work ever undertaken by the Public Accounts Committee under my watch. We completed this report in April 2014. I tabled this report in the House on the 24th day of April 2014. Since this report was tabled in the House Business Committee has never balloted it for debate. The question I want to pose to Kenyans, and to you too, if indeed this report was compromised to favor those under investigation, the Deputy President and other people who are under investigation, why wouldn't the leadership of Parliament rush this report to be concluded? And I would challenge anybody to look at this report, which the leadership of Parliament has refused to have debated, and tell me, on the basis of the evidence here, compared to the findings and the recommendations, what exactly was compromised. Number two,
all right. I'd like to stop you because this is also a political question. Did you receive money? Did you not? Have you ever met Mutea Iringo? We will get to the content of the reports because we do know what the PSC has done.
To also mention this. I want to mention this too because this is also important.
Okay.
Other than the Hustlers Jet report, there are also these 3 reports on accounts. The last one being the year 2012-13, which has the explosive question of confidential expenditure, where Mutea Iringo comes in.
Right.
I would invite Kenyans again to look at these reports and on the basis of the evidence received by the committee and the very harsh indictment on Mutai Ringo, tell me exactly what could have been compromised here. And if indeed these are the products of the committee and the recommendations and the findings are perfectly in tandem with the evidence tendered before us. So if someone were out to compromise myself, what exactly did they compromise?
Okay.
That is an important question
So were you
to answer.
compromised?
I was not compromised.
Okay.
I cannot be compromised.
Did you receive 5 million shillings from Mutai Ringo?
Absolutely not.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely not.
Let's talk about support from your party, because that was something that was highlighted in the tape in the fight against corruption.
Yes.
Let's just listen into what you had to say in that tape on how you felt you were betrayed by the party, and we'll talk about that in terms of the fight against corruption from your own backyard. Let's listen to that.
Your Excellency, I'm very upset. I'm hurt. I'm upset. First of all, I feel betrayed. Secondly, I feel abandoned. Betrayed in the sense that this thing is being choreographed by our own people in our own party. Anyanga is the architect of this whole matter. And I can understand, because Anyanga has always desired to be chair of this committee. He ran against me. He did not succeed. And since then, he has been engaged in all sorts of little machinations.
So how do you feel about your party? Do you think they've supported you in this fight
Let me
against
clarify
corruption?
that point first,
Right.
because that point that I make there is fundamental. And remember, and the reason why Arama is really actually joking, this is a conversation between three people, three members of parliament, with their party leader.
Right.
And I do confirm that this step is so real. This confirmation is so real, and it can be authenticated and confirmed through a million ways. But let's go back to what I'm telling my party leader. I am telling my party leader that this whole thing is politics. By the way, this whole debate and getting my name sucked into this matter is politics. And it's true that this politics is pretty much ODM politics, because this thing was born within ODM. I believe it is related to the war over the position of Secretary General. And I believe that the end game of this matter was soil Ababu Namwamba's name in the Public Accounts Committee. Then after you have removed him as chairman of Public Accounts Committee, come back and say you cannot have a Secretary General that has been removed from the Public Accounts Committee on the basis of integrity. That was the end game. And I'm telling my party leader without mincing my words that I can confirm.
Who do you think was involved in putting this plot together within ODM?
I don't want to go into those details, but I have my
You did
information.
go into those details on the tape.
I mean, you can play the tape. Yvonne, you have the tape. You can play it to your listeners. But what I want to tell you is that this thing originated from within my party. It was then adopted by Duale and our rivals. I mean, one wouldn't blame Duale, really. Duale was merely playing smart politics. You see your rival cannibalizing each other. You want to take advantage.
How would you say you found yourself in the crosshairs of just about everybody?
It's not
Jubilee,
everybody. It's not everybody.
ODM?
It's not everybody. You have a situation where ODM wants to cannibalize their own. Jubilee is our rival. They're not there to help ODM stand. They are our rival.
That's pretty much everybody in the house.
If you
Ababu.
see, it's not everybody, because honestly, Yvonne, since this matter started, I have received a lot of support. I have received a lot of support across the board. I have people who supported me within the committee. Remember, I did not lose the vote of no confidence.
It was by a technicality.
It's not a technicality.
13
Whether
votes to 9.
technicality or not, I did not lose the vote.
You didn't get much support either.
I did not lose the vote, Yvonne, and that's the fact. If I was overwhelmingly under pressure, then I would have lost it. But that's not the point. Let us go back to this point of the politics around this matter. It is true, and I confirm here, as I confirm on that recording, that this matter originated from ODM politics. Then, of course, elements in Jubilee took advantage of this. But now what has happened is that the politics around this matter has completely diverted attention
Away
to
from
some
the
very
reports.
fundamental
Okay,
issues.
we'll get to that
Yes.
and to the reports in just a moment. But let's talk about what's been happening within the PSC. Obviously, there are some trust issues. By the time we got to a vote of no confidence, by the time we get to a vote of 13 versus 9, just, missing that 14 vote threshold by a whisker, literally. This is a question we've also talked about when it comes to the EACC. How can we trust the contents of this report and that the focus was actually on fighting corruption when it seems like there was a lot of mistrust, there was a lot that was brewing underneath before we got to hear of what was going on?
Yvonne, it's not a question of mistrust. Believe me, it is not a question of mistrust. This is a question of two things. One, it's a question of politics and people wanting to fight you politically, but because they need an excuse, they have to create a phantom. This thing of Ababu being bribed is a phantom. It is an excuse created to achieve a political end. And then number two, corruption then takes advantage. If you read this report, Yvonne, for instance, our findings here are so harsh on every single issue we interrogated. You look at the interrogation of the 2.9 billion shillings, we find Mutai Iringo guilty. We find Kimemia guilty. We find everybody that we interrogated and investigated guilty. We make such serious recommendations here, including these people being surcharged for the whole amount that was lost. We make recommendation about these people being prosecuted and recovery proceedings being brought against them. We provide details here of huge amounts of money, details of cash withdrawals from the bank for money that was obviously misused. And I have no doubt, Yvonne, that these reports are clean and the integrity of this report is unimpeachable. When you come to the Hustlers Jet report, the question I would ask, why has the leadership of Parliament refused to ballot this report for debate? I would want you to bring here the Speaker. I would want you to bring here Duale, the leader of majority, and ask him that question. Where on earth does a committee table a report and you sit on it for 1 year? And if this report had been compromised to favor people in government, why hasn't the government-friendly Jubilee administration in the House processed it for debate? So I have no doubt in my mind, Yvonne, that this is a question of politics at play and also corruption having an opportunity to get one over me.
Do you believe
someone definitely is very unhappy with these reports.
Okay,
and they would want to bury these reports in an avalanche of controversy.
All right, I understand that Samuel Arama, Nakuru Town West MP, has called into our studios. This doesn't happen very often. Let's hear what he has to say. If you can hear us, thank you very much for calling into Checkpoint today, Mheshimiwa. You've been following this conversation. What are your thoughts?
I've been following, yes.
All right. Tell us your thoughts on this matter. You have denied that you are on the tape. Ababu Namwamba is with us live in studio, and he says he is sure that there was that tape. You were present at that meeting. It was the four of you. What do you have to say about that?
If only let me ask you, there is something which I have not understood. The person who is being accused of ordering a bribe is only Ababu Namwamba. Whether we met or we didn't meet, it doesn't really matter. Let him address the issue of 5 million which Ababu is alleging he received. And if he's telling Kenyans and everybody at large that Honorable Arama said about the bribe, which I have said I didn't meet him, what my meeting with him and the bribe which he alleged to have taken, is it making sense to anybody? Let him address the issue of 5 million, and the person who is saying that he took 5 million is only Ababu. Now he's diverting attention by blackmailing me and another person that Honorable Arama came and talked. Why was I going to talk to him, and why could I confess that I've taken money? Because I've not been accused by anybody. I've not said that I've taken any money. Iringo himself has come out to say that we didn't meet with him the way Honorable Ababu is saying. So Honorable Ababu should be able to tell me why and how and for what purpose I was going to meet him at that particular time.
Would you like to respond to that?
No.
Stay on the line as we get a response.
Yvonne, actually, I wouldn't want to engage in an exchange with my colleague Arama. This recording for me can be authenticated. I challenge the Honorable Arama to avail himself for a voice detection test, where what is on the recording and his real voice can be put to the test so that we confirm this. Number two, I would want a scenario where, by the way, fortunately I'm not alone. Talk to Honorable Jeanette, talk to Honorable Raila Odinga, and confirm this. But let me respond to one fundamental issue. Honorable Rama says,
yes.
Honorable Rama
Hang on, Mheshimiwa. Yes.
Honorable Rama says
Right.
that it is me being accused. You see, I want to know, for instance, from the record, this is the Hansard record, because you see, if we are going to engage in rumors in the air, then we'll never get to the root of this matter.
Right.
This is the Hansard record, where the vote of no confidence was prosecuted. There is no single allegation of the so-called 5 million on this record.
Right. Let's have him
No,
respond
let
to
me
that.
finish this.
Yes.
Then we have the Powers and Privileges Committee that has been sitting for 1 week.
Yes.
I appear before this committee and I ask this committee, what have I come here to answer to? They tell me, and it's on record, they tell me, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, no one has accused you of anything.
All right, let's let Samuel
Yes.
Arama respond to that.
Wait, exactly.
Where-
Accusing you of anything.
Let me ask you, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, where the particular day is talking about. Did he call me at any given time, tell him that I should talk with the other committee members to assist him? Did he do that to me?
Did you call and ask for his support
Did you talk to
before
me?
the no
I
confidence
never
motion?
sought Honorable Rama's support, basically because I knew as at the time when this matter was going on, he was not sitting in the committee.
Okay, all right.
All I sought from him was that I have convened a meeting with the party leader,
To do what?
and I want as many people as possible that are available to share with him what you know about this matter. And it was really just an attempt to establish what exactly was going on. And you know, whether Honorable Rama was accused or not, Honorable Jeanette was in that meeting. He was not accused. It was merely, this has happened in a political context. We are representing ODM in Parliament. If a major issue like integrity arises, we owe our party leader an obligation to explain what is going on and to share with him what we know.
Okay.
That was the context.
Now that we have Arama on phone, would you tell us, substantiate perhaps your claims that Ababu Namwamba received 5 million shillings from Mutea Iringo?
Yes.
Like he said, there is no such record in the Hansard. Would you like to clarify that for us tonight?
Now, what I'm asking is that Honorable Ababu is saying that there's no allegation of 5 million. At the same time, he's very busy collecting evidence from every other person. He says he has a tape. He says he's being fought by Honorable Duare. He says he's being fought by the party ODM. He's saying why all of this, and he says very clearly that he doesn't know whether he says that he didn't take any bribe. But he has gone ahead to correct all of the evidences. Why is he correcting all of the evidences if he knows he's innocent? What he could have done, the accusation is he received a bribe. If at that juncture, he could have said that, okay, now prove that I didn't take the bribe. But now, by the time he goes to get every other evidences, then it means he's trying to blackmail people, he's trying to conceal something else. Ababu Namwamba should be able to tell the public, and they should be able to tell Kenyans whether he received the bribe, as the allegation is being put to him very clearly by the person who is complaining, and the complainant is a party member who is an ODM member of parliament. These are other things he's doing. To me, it's not making any sense. Whether I met Raila or I didn't meet him, does it make any sense to anybody that you can be accused for getting a bribe, then you go out to look for evidence, when he knows very well that he could have won? Why didn't he go to anti-corruption?
Okay. All right, and we'll pose that to him. Thank you very much. Let's have your response.
Yvonne, first of all, you can actually see the confusion that the member is now causing to himself, because he's now claiming whether he met Raila or not is now no longer the issue.
I
You
did meet
see,
him.
when he met Raila,
By me, Honorable Ababu, by me,
can I respond
not
now?
meeting. I
Yes.
didn't meet you. You went to River Road to make the tapes so that you can confuse the public that you are so innocent.
Okay.
How innocent are you if you cannot be able to tell us
All right.
whether you received the 5 million or not?
Mheshimiwa, thank you very much. But we are also asking the same of you. What proof do you have
actually,
that he actually received the 5
Yvonne,
million?
let me, so that we don't engage in a ping pong. We
Right.
don't engage in this
Right.
ping pong.
1 minute,
Number
Mheshimiwa Rama.
one,
Yes.
on this record, and I wish you could play that bit. On this record, this honorable member unequivocally, using his own voice, admits that he attended a meeting. with Mr. Mutea Iringo at Silver Springs Hotel. On his own volition. No one really prompted him. He offered that piece of information
Well, we
to his
don't know
own party
that.
leader.
We don't know that he prompted that information
There
on his
was
own
no
volition.
prompting. In fact,
we have no idea.
in the course of that conversation, the person who is engaging him in the conversation is not even me. It's Honorable Jeanette. At the point where he admits that he received 200,000 shillings from that loot, it is Honorable Jeanette who prompts him and asked him at this meeting, when this man was offered, did you also get a share? And using his own voice, he admits, yeah, I got 200,000. But this is not the issue. The issue here, Yvonne, is that because he asks, what prompted me to start gathering this evidence? I chair this committee.
Yeah.
Issues emerge that there are possible integrity questions in the committee. Obviously, I was duty-bound to try and find out what exactly is going on. And Honorable Rama himself confirms on that recording that when all these things were going on in terms of people attempting to compromise members of the committee, I was kept in the dark. In fact, he says in his own voice on that recording that I was not supposed to be told because I would not accept.
That you were, quote-unquote, inflexible.
Inflexible.
All right.
He
I'd
goes
like
on
us
to say, I'm not, and by the way, it's true. I am inflexible when it comes to protecting the integrity of the reports of this committee.
For the purposes of time, I'd like
Yes.
us to move away from that and just talk about what's happening within Parliament today, or it was even reported in the dailies yesterday, with everything that's happening within the Agriculture Committee that is set to blow up on Tuesday. What trust and belief should any Kenyan have in any parliamentary committee, in any parliamentary process, that they can now effectively play their oversight role?
Yvonne, let me admit here that there are definitely serious issues of integrity in the House. And that's why, when this whole matter erupted, you would recall that even before this matter became public, I wrote a very long letter to the Speaker. And in my letter to the Speaker, I shared with him all the information many Kenyans have been asking, why did I not come out earlier with this information? Merely because of due process. All the information that had come in my knowledge, including this recording, was handed to the Speaker. And long before these things became public, the Speaker knew. But the Speaker assured me that we needed to follow the internal mechanisms of getting to the root of this matter. And among the things I tell the Speaker in this letter, I'm telling the Speaker, allow me to read, I implore you, Mr. Speaker, to use PAC as an example to tackle head-on the integrity and ethical issues enveloping the Kenya National Assembly. I'm ready and willing to collaborate with the EACC and other agencies in this respect. I'm basically telling the Speaker, these issues are so big, they are beyond PAC, and for us to effectively handle these issues, let us widen the process. But I also tell the Speaker, and I have shared with him in a couple of other correspondence, that this is a matter where maybe Parliament is not competent to investigate itself. Why don't you hand these matters to an agency like EACC or the Office of the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, so that these matters can be interrogated? The issues that Rama raises, for instance, that these recordings from River Road, if you were to give all this material to a competent investigative agency, it would be able to get to the root of this matter.
And EACC is competent, you think?
It is the constitutionally mandated body to deal with matters such as this. But in the absence of the EACC, we can use the DPP. We can also use the other agencies like the Commission on Administrative Justice, or even call in. The other day, by the way, to bust Anglo-leasing, we used the fraud office from the Swiss. The Swiss gave us technical support. For Chicken Gate, we used the Serious Fraud Office of the UK. We can call in these agencies to help in this matter because this is a serious matter.
All right. Let's just very quickly as we wind up, because we're talking about the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, whose mandate, by the way, is to take a look at what is happening with state officers. Now, just clear something up for me, because members of Parliament did start the process of an amendment of the Constitution to change Article 260 to effectively remove members of Parliament from the list of state officers. So on the one hand, I think we're getting mixed messages from Parliament here. On the one hand, parliamentarians do not want to be on the state officers list. We presume that was because it was SRC and their pay. Today we're saying EACC is the one that will be mandated to do that. So when does it seem convenient to be on the list of state officers or not?
The action of one member of Parliament A member can bring a motion to the House, but until that motion is debated and adopted, it is not an action of the House. Some members expressed a desire to do so. It never saw the light of day. And so that is really not something you can pin the House down on.
So is it your statement here today that members of Parliament are state officers?
Of course they're state officers.
And when that motion comes up for debate, because we understand
I
it's
never
in the first
supported
reading,
it in the first place.
Right, it's in the first reading now. Once it starts to be debated, you will not support it.
I will not support it because you cannot remove members of Parliament from being state, and there's no good justification for that. And I want to challenge the leadership of the National Assembly. The Powers and Privileges Committee only deals with matters of privilege.
Okay.
The question of corruption is a question of economic crimes, serious economic crimes. In China, people are shot dead for corruption, for this kind of economic crimes.
And if you were found guilty,
I
would you
would
want
be ready to face the firing squad, Yvonne. I am so innocent in this matter that I'm ready to be investigated by the ESCC, the DPP, bring in the UK Serious Crimes Office, bring in the Swiss Serious Fraud Office.
Okay.
I am ready and willing to face all this.
All right.
Yvonne, allow me one last word.
Please. We have just about a minute.
As this whole thing rages, those behind this politics have succeeded to divert attention to some really serious issues. And I want to challenge the media especially. Please bring back attention to these reports. These reports of the Public Accounts Committee raise serious issues. Bring attention to a scenario where the leadership of Parliament can refuse to debate a report for 1 year.
Okay.
Bring attention to that.
All right.
Also bring attention to business before the Public Accounts Committee, that people definitely do not want to be prosecuted. The same week that this matter erupted, we were just about to bring in Isaac Hassan
on the IEBC
over the IEBC matter.
All right.
We were
really
just about to conclude the judiciary matter.
Yes.
I want this matter, this debate to come back to the real issues as to why somebody somewhere is so keen to disrupt this critical work of the Public Accounts Committee.
I really don't mean to cut you
and
off,
I
but
confirm, Yvonne, that on this matter, I am ready to place myself at the mercy of any investigation because I know I am absolutely innocent in this matter.
Point made. Thank you very much for making the time. And we thank you for being here with us today. Ababu Namwamba has made his case. We also heard from Samuel Arama, who called in. Do you believe Ababu Namwamba is innocent is the question we are asking. And by the way, we took up this challenge of exposing corruption in the country, and this is something we will continue to do even in the coming weeks. So do stay with us right here on KTN for a detailed look at that. Of course, we'll also be looking at what's happening on Tuesday with the Agriculture Committee, but we've discussed quite a bit here, and as always, we want to put things into context. John Alanamu has been following the conversation tonight. What's the point, John?
Very interesting discussion there on a subject that is very, very serious. In fact, I dare say it is a threat to peace and stability in this country, and that is a subject of corruption. And let's start with the first point. Who is fighting corruption in this country? The PAC, according to Ababu Namwamba, has done a good job of looking into certain corruption cases. And I'd encourage Kenyans, because that is a public document, to read that report on the 2.8 billion shillings that have been lost or were pilfered by government. It makes for damning reading, yet no one who has been indicted in those reports, not a single person who was indicted in a parliamentary report, has been taken anywhere to court or even interviewed with respect to their roles in corruption. The fight right now is about who bribed whom. That is a serious question, and one that needs to be addressed, especially because it touches on corruption in Parliament. And I'll get to that in a moment. But if the tapes are to be believed, then there is every reason for those who are alleged to have committed corrupt acts by bribing one another in Parliament to scupper a report to be investigated. They hold a sacred trust, a sacred public trust, I might add, and a responsibility to the public to be able to carry out their duties effectively and with integrity. Their integrity is indeed on trial. A period seems to quickly be approaching in this country where the critical mass of corruption cases in this country, if they remain unchallenged, will either choke the justice system and will have Kenyans facing corruption cases on their own. And two things that at least I see could happen. Kenyans could either accept the way things are and become part of this corrupt system, in which case the systems, the institutions that have been put up over years will collapse, or Kenyans will reject the system. Which one it is, we are yet to know. Now, secondly, the ping pong of accusations in Parliament really do not tell us anything other than none of those parliamentarians have proven their innocence, and that is something that Kenyans should expect of them in coming weeks. But finally, Parliament as an institution, as I mentioned earlier, holds a sacred public trust to you, the voter. When you voted them in, when you voted parliamentarians in, they owed it to you to investigate corruption. If corruption is not being investigated in Parliament, in the very institution that is supposed to be holding corrupt individuals to account and legislating for people who are corrupt to be arrested and to face trial, then who will defend Kenyans? And that is the point.